Hi, my name's Rich Harrington, and welcome to another episode of Producing Video Podcast, the video podcast all about making video podcasts. This week, we're going to take a look at a new compression tool that I've been using for a while called VisualHub. Now, VisualHub is not brand new, but it's a relative upstart on the scene, and it grew out of a really consumer-oriented product that started to add some very pro features, which are quite nice. The great thing about it is it supports a wide range of formats, including those that you'll need for podcasting, as well as other formats out there. It works only on the Mac platform, but it's very versatile and worth checking out. So let's take a quick look. You can download your own copy from visualhub.net, and this is made by a company called Techspansion. And it supports a wide range of formats. Using this one tool, we can create MPEG-4 video, both the Part 2 and the Part 10 formats, the H.264, using this tool. So making content for iTunes, PlayStation Portable, etc., or as well as the generic MPEG-4. And we can do things like convert to the DV format, convert to MPEG-2 for DVD. It'll even author a DVD for you. Make AVI files that work on older Windows machines, Windows media files, which is a big plus for the price point, as well as generic MPEG-1 and Flash files. So all in all, a very versatile product. So with this one tool, you can essentially create all the podcasting video formats you need, as well as take advantage of other web-based formats that you might need from within the same program. So what's involved here? Not too much. We just basically drag a file in and choose from some presets. It does let you modify, but the creators of the software try to steer you away from making too many changes. Let's see how it works. I'm going to drag in an uncompressed movie here that's clocking in at about 150 megabytes, and this is a 6-minute video tutorial on using After Effects that I recently did. I'll drag this in, and it's listed, and you'll see that we have all sorts of different formats that we can choose from. Now, let's go with the podcast-ready format of MPEG-4. It's going to automatically go to the 640 size, or, unless you check this box, it'll go to the 320 width. It's constraining to these two sizes because it's designing this to work on an iPod. Now, there really is no preset here for Apple TV per se, so you're going to have to stick with this tool for simple delivery of podcast-ready iPod files. Let's go ahead here and we'll say go ahead and use the H.264 for streaming, and we can adjust the quality slider from 56K dial-up all the way up to what they call go nuts. So obviously the developers here have a slight sense of humor, but that works well. Let's go ahead and favor this towards high quality because this is a screen capture podcast showing very small detail inside of Adobe After Effects. So I'm going to want that extra resolution. I'm not going to go nuts because that just doesn't sound like a good idea when it comes to download times, but this should work. Now, there are a couple of other options here that you can choose, like if you have multiple videos, you could stitch them together into a single file. This can be helpful if you have an intro, like say a commercial sponsor, followed by the body of your podcast, followed by an end tag. You could simply load the 3 videos up, and this will turn them into one single video file when it's done. That's very useful, saves you editing time if it's just a simple tag of putting something at the front or the back, or both, of a podcast. You can also specify what should happen when it's done. You could say, go to the destination folder, put the computer to sleep, or shut it down. So you could set up a large compression job and then have the computer go to sleep or shut down when it's finished, which is good for the life of your machine. Lastly, we can go ahead and click the Advanced tab here, and this will bring up the advanced settings you can use. Now, there's a lot of options here, and what is kind of funny here is that right at the top of the window it says, don't, you'll screw it up. Well, again, the tool started as a consumer tool, and they give you these advanced options, but they originally didn't intend for you to use it. Fortunately, they do have a nice documentation user manual that comes with the product that explains a lot of these to you. And of course, in the book Producing Video Podcasts, we cover all of these options and talk about which ones you're going to use for a podcast. Let's take a quick look at some of the most essential ones. Now, if you need to crop the material, you can. If you've got black edges or gook at the edge of your screen, you might use this. Normally, though, you don't need to crop. You can specify a width and a height for the file. So if you don't want to use the standard 640 width, you can actually specify a new width in here pretty easily. This is useful if you want to manually resize footage or it's a widescreen file, or you do want to go bigger for something like Apple TV if you need to. If the clip is interlaced, you could deinterlace that, and that's a very good option if you're taking video shot on an interlaced camera and putting it out to the web. The deinterlace will remove some of those combing or lines that you often see with fast-moving objects. If you need to, you could force it to work with QuickTime or other decoding methods, but normally I leave that unchecked. You could specify a frame rate or use the default rate of the file. And it's a really good idea to take advantage of that two-pass option. This tool will allow for two-pass encoding. The first pass analyzes the file, the second pass compresses it. When you use that two-pass encode, you get a smaller end file, which is much cleaner. That's because the compression tool has a time to analyze the video file before it compresses it. And this is often called variable bit rate encoding. We could specify the audio rate here. I'm going to go ahead to take this to 44.1. And specify if we want stereo or mono. In this case, it's just going to be mono. We could adjust the volume if it's not loud enough, as well as apply any additional options here. What's also nice is you can actually save these settings and reload them in the future if you need to, so you can reuse settings from one job to the next. Notice I had previously made some settings for Apple TV, and that works just fine. You can call this iPod high quality mono, and load that in so you can reuse the settings. So that's very, very fortunate. This is all set here. It's got it. If I need to, I can go ahead and manually add a file, but we've got one in there. So let's just go ahead and click Start, and it will analyze the file and compress it. When you do the two-pass encode, it has to analyze the file, and it takes a little bit of time as it does the compression. Now, to jump you forward, I've already compressed this, so let me go ahead and open it up. And here's the end result. We took this down substantially, and we got it down to 17 megabytes. It's also relatively clear, so as we drag through there, you'll see the information. That's working very well. So, did a nice job on the encode. Again, you can also specify manual settings there, tweaking the quality, data rate, etc. All in all, a great tool. Probably asking is, what does it cost? Well, let's take a quick look. If you go to VisualHub.net, you could find out your options for this tool. They make two products actually that will be worked for compression. One's called VisualHub, one's called AudioHub. The best job here is to actually get both as a package if you need to do audio podcasting compressions. They do have two other tools, iSquint and Propagator, that do a few other things, so you might want to check those out. But all in all, pretty reasonable. If we choose Buy It here, you will see that the individual price for VisualHub is approximately $23 US. If you want to get both VisualHub and AudioHub together, it's $36.63. Now, I'm not quite sure how they reach those prices. I think it's an international company, and that's the exchange rate thing going on. Otherwise, they just have an odd sense of humor at what they price their services. But still, one of the cheapest programs out there on the market, and it works very effectively. When you consider that this creates podcast files, as well as Windows media files and Flash video files, it's much cheaper than some of the alternatives. You do lose some of the wizards and preview capabilities of those higher-end tools, and you don't have quite as many useful presets to start with, but for $36, you get a whole lot. For Producing Video Podcasts, my name's Rich Harrington. I invite you to check out the book, Producing Video Podcasts from Focal Press, as well as the resources on our blog and website at vidpodcaster.com.